give a fuck about who you came with. Yeah. It's all the same shit.
Alright, before you skip, I need your help. On the screen, there are 3 tutorials. Comment down below which one you want to see next, because that's the next tutorial I'm going to make. Leave a comment on which one you want to see next. I'm going to make all of them. It's just which one ever is next. Alright. If you're trying to run up a music video bag, I have new presets. Charge more. Edit faster. Finish videos faster. Get more videos done. Link in the description. Help me out. Help make new tutorials come out. Okay, this is a little disclaimer before we start. The tutorial doesn't exactly show you this preview video. That's because this took me 8 hours to make on a deadline, right? And I don't have the project file anymore, so I'm sorry. However, I do teach you every technique I use to do this in After Effects. I teach you how to make the tentacles, I teach you the eyeball, I teach you the birds, I teach you the sky replacement. Pretty much everything I did. It's just a little overview of it instead of spending 8 hours to make it look perfect. It's your job to make it look good. Also, just don't copy my effects. The link to this video is in the description. If you want me to expose anything, I'll do it. It's fine. Anything you want. Alright, that's it. Thanks. So, I'm going to break this down a little bit. When he was moving, I tried to 3D track it, but it wasn't working that good. So, I learned something, or I kind of figured out something all these years, is you can kind of fake it till you make it. So, this is not actually 3D tracked. This is just a frame of the video, paused, and then I zoomed in to add movement to the video, and then I rotoscoped him out. He's moving, so he's an actual video clip, but the background is just a picture. And when it's a picture, you don't really need 3D track. You just put the things in, pre-comp it, and then zoom it in. I'm telling you this before you guys do that, just so you do that. Alright, we're gonna start from the beginning. I chose this guy because it's overblown, and so we can just straight Luma key it. So first thing we're gonna do, Luma key, go to your effects and presets, right over here, Luma key. Yep, drag that onto your clip. Shout out Cash Bentley for the footage. Right here where it says key type, key out darker, key out brighter, and then threshold, go ahead and lift that up. And to have a good key out, and these little edges, we're gonna edge thin it a little bit, and then feather it out a little bit. Yep, and that's good enough for this tutorial. Something like that. Alright, now this tutorial isn't sponsored by Production Crate, but we're going to be using a lot of Production Crate stuff, and they just generally have a lot of good free stuff, so definitely if you're not using Production Crate, you know, that's an L. So, first thing, Production Crate, we need to look up like some clouds, and we're going to look up free. Probably you could use fast clouds. I used so when I did it, I used a mixture of just a bunch of clouds. You could probably use these. I used some of these, I used some of these, and I just put a bunch of clouds together. I'm not gonna do that because you guys probably want the Tentacles tutorial, but that's what I would do. We're just gonna get some fast clouds first, like this, and then we're gonna download it and then just use that a bunch. So with our video right here, I'm just gonna freeze frame in a random spot. So right here, I'm going to press Shift Control D, right click, time, freeze frame, and then it'll be something like that. Now, if you look in the video, he's actually moving, and that's just because I'm layering on effects. So I'm layering on videos. So I did rotoscope him out, but the background is just a freeze frame of the video. He's rotoscoped out and moving at the same time, so he's still a video, but since I'm zooming in, you know, we're not gonna do that, and we're just gonna focus on the tentacles. So yeah, so now we're gonna have to do the sky replacement. We're just gonna add the sky. This is not what you guys want to see, I know, so I'm gonna go fast. I'm gonna move this like that, whatever. All right, so now we have a sky replacement, and since this is a freeze frame, we don't really have to 3D track because it's a freeze frame, like I said before. We're gonna add some storm clouds now in the back. And just adding on different layers and adding on more layers, it just gives it more of a realism and kind of a lot of things going on. And when there's a lot of things going on, you can kind of get away with a lot of ugliness because people can't even see it. You feel me? So we have some storm layers, and for the storm layers, I pretty much just color balanced them. They're yellow, so I just go into my effects and presets, color balance, drag onto the storm, change it to yellow, increase the saturation, and that looks exactly like how it was in the video. And since this video was about Sunny Dee, so it was orange, went with the theme. So now if we look at the video, the next thing we have to do after you layer all your clouds is this portal. Again, that's straight from Production Crate. Like I said, they're not sponsoring this video, but they just have a lot of good things for free. So if you look at portal, if you look up in VFX motion and look at portal, and I used exactly this one. You can use the 720p one or this infinity portal. We're just gonna go ahead and download the same one. So we're gonna drag our video portal in, or a portal, and we can see it here in the back. And we're just gonna put it right here. Do something like this. I'm going to scale it down and do something like that. So now you can see we have the portal opening. It's the exact same portal. I'm gonna color balance. I'm gonna put color balance on the portal now, just because I believe the portal was orange as well. You can see right here, and I'm gonna do that right now. Boost up the saturation a little bit and make it close to the original color. Obviously, you guys don't have to do this. Don't do this because I'm just making it orange because that was the original, you know. And you guys should take the concepts from this tutorial and make your own things. You don't have to copy straight from the tutorial. So now we need the black part for the portal to come on, because right now it's just nothing. But to get the black, we're just gonna add a new solid. Right click on your timeline right here, new solid. Make this black. Okay. Click OK. And now I'm gonna go right here to the top, ellipse tool, make a little circle, and then we're gonna adjust this mask as we go. So I'm gonna move this mask all the way over here. Let me select it, move it to the portal. And remember, since it's not a video, it's just a freeze frame, we don't really have to worry about that much. We can just kind of put everything in the same spot at once, and yeah. Now I'm gonna adjust the mask to the portal as the portal opens, and I'm also gonna bring the black solid underneath my portal so I could see the portal. With the black solid selected, I'm gonna press M on my keyboard to show the masks. Okay, I'm gonna keyframe this mask path, and as the portal opens up, I'm going to adjust the mask to the portal. Keep going, and since the portal is on top, we can kind of just make this ugly behind it, since the portal is covering the darkness or whatever, the edge of the mask. And so yeah, we have a portal. You can add some space and stuff, something like that, and that'll look cool. I added an eye, which we'll get to later. So now if we look at the video, we have a portal opening up and crazy clouds in the background. Obviously, make the background nice, look whatever, but it's just an overview of what I did. So now I think it's time for the tentacles everyone's been crazy about, right? Or the thing that really sells the effect. So this is all in After Effects, and this is all in Element 3D, the animation and everything. So we need to right click, new solid, and we're gonna name it Tentacle. Go right here to the effects and presets and look up Element 3D. Element 3D is a plugin from Video Copilot. If you don't have it, get it, because that is the best 3D program. It's better than some other ones. All right, Tentacle. So I'm gonna drag element onto my tentacle solid layer. I'm gonna click the scene setup. This window will pop up. I'm gonna click import, and then I'm gonna find a tentacle OBJ. So you can use any one of these tentacle OBJs. I'm not sure where I got mine, but I do have it. It took me a long time to find one. Yeah, you can use one of these. If it's rigged, you can obviously rig it and use it in Cinema 4D and animate in Cinema 4D or Blender. But this is straight After Effects, and I did not use any rigs, armatures, or nothing. And I'll show you how I thought it out in After Effects. See if I can recreate it. So import the tentacle. So here's how I figured out how to do an After Effects. And so we have a tentacle right here, right? I was trying to armature it or something, and it wasn't working, and I needed to finish it fast, so I needed to figure out something out. So I can just store Element 3D files, and I can displace them on the different x-axes, right? Or on the different axes. So there's an x-axis. X goes like this, Y goes like this, and the Z goes far like this way, right? And so I was thinking, I was like, if I orient the tentacle on the y-axis and have this as a base, if I displace it, and displacing pretty much just, if I displace it on the y-axis, meaning it does kind of a wave, and I keyframe it to wave while displacing it, it'll look like a tentacle is doing the tentacle thing, right? It'll look like the tentacle is doing this. And that's pretty much how you do it. So I suggest you think about it kind of like that before you take forever to rig something you don't have. If you can cheat it and the end product still looks the same, just cheat it. You don't have to do it. There's no certain way to do an effect. That's what I'm saying. I imported my tentacle. I'm going to click normalize size so you can see it. And this is the exact tentacle I used. So to get the anchor point on the bottom right here, that's where we want, because we want the animation to start from the base of the tentacle, right? Because if it's like a squid, that's where you're going to start, right? So this anchor point right here, I'm just going to move this Y all the way down here to the base, and that's it. You just have to move the Y to the base and make sure the anchor point is in the middle. It's fine right there. After you move the anchor point to the bottom of the tentacle, make sure you move the tentacle to the top of the plane. This is just an Element 3D thing. If you don't move it to the top of the plane and kind of start at the origin, the effects won't start like it was starting from the middle for me. So yeah, do that. Now for the texture, I pretty much just used the Pro Shaders pack, and they got some crazy ones. I used the Pro Shaders pack 1 actually, and I used the organic one, and this hot sauce, boom, I just slapped it on, and it's the same one, and I just changed the settings a little bit. So I'm going to open this up, click on my material, and I'm going to boost the reflection intensity, and I'm boosting the reflection because it looks slimier, and just adding more things, but I thought it looked slimier, so I boosted it up. I'm going to increase the diffuse, and I think I added some curves at the end. So this looks fine for right now. I'm going to click OK. And you can see we have a tentacle now in the scene. You can add the levels and mess with the colors, whatever we want, but now let's do the animation so this tutorial isn't so long. So we need to go to group 1, particle look, particle rotation, and I'm going to rotate this Y right here and face the cups on the tentacle towards the screen. I'm going to rotate it on the Z so we have the base of the tentacle towards the portal. Okay, so we're going to have it something like that. We're going to scale this up. So we're going to go to actually particle look, particle size. We're just going to scale this up like that. We're going to rotate it one more time. So we have the base of the tentacle coming out kind of right at the portal. So move it kind of like this. And then now right here on the particle replicator, we're going to move the position X and Y, and we're going to put the base pretty much right in the center of the portal. And that's the start of it. Now we're going to do the animation first, and then we're going to scale it in. So this is how the tentacle moved. Right here on the underneath particle look and deform, this bend, we're going to open this up. We're going to click enable, and this is the bend axis I was talking about. And so we're going to, if we go to the scene setup, we have this facing up, right? And so we're going to want it to bend on the y-axis. You can see the y right here. This is the y-axis we learned in school, right? So I'm going to change this bend axis to y. So now I'm going to, so starting right here, because I had the tentacles come up when the portal was full, this bend angle, ooh, my bad, I'm going to change the orientation back. This bend angle, I pretty much just animated it like this, doing this back and forth. So I'm going to keyframe this at the bend angle like at pretty much 0, move it a little bit forward, and move it back, and then move it a little bit back. And then I also mess with this orientation, and if you mess with orientation, it just adds more movement, and just adding more layers really sells the effect more. So I'm going to keyframe all these orientations, and while this animation is going, I'm just going to move these a little bit, and it's moving like like a tentacle. Like no one knows what a tentacle looks like, right? Moving. So like pretty much if you just move it, it's fire. All right, and so now we have, you know, the tentacle moving like this. And then I'm going to open up the keyframes, and I pretty much just copy and pasted the keyframes for the whole animation, and it's something like this. Now you can see right now we just have a tentacle floating in the sky, and I grew the tentacles out from this little thing, and this was just increasing the size. It looks, with, like I said, with everything going on, it looks like, so we're gonna want the tentacles, actually we're gonna want the tentacles to fully grow out at this first keyframe right here. So I'm gonna go to the scale of the particle, keyframe that. I'm gonna go to the beginning of this animation, which is right here, and I'm going to scale this particle all the way down and increase the size. You can see it's kind of growing. You can see this little anchor point at the base. It's growing from there. And so if you just move the base to over here and then make this like 0, then the tentacle is going to grow out of here, and then it starts the animation. You see this? And then now I'm going to add the keyframes to when it's growing out, just to give it more of a movement. So pretty much this bend angle, I'm going to scroll down here, copy these, and I'm just going to go forward, and yeah. So we have that. And this orientations, I'm going to copy these as well, and I'm going to move them to the beginning of the video, and then now we have an animation like that. I'm going to move the position of this tentacle now to the left, and then now I pretty much just, I duplicated the tentacle, and then I rotated the world of the tentacle, or the tentacle itself. There you go. I just rotated the tentacle on the z-axis, and then changed the position to the outside, and then now you can see something like that. Now I'm just gonna do this, you know, a couple more times. Rotate it on the z-axis, move it right here, one more time, press Ctrl D on the keyboard, rotate it, and now if we look at it, we're getting closer to what we're looking at, and that looks cool. Yep, we could do that. So I just looked up Lord of Rings eye, because I never even seen the movie. I think I just downloaded this for the eye in the middle, and then I'm gonna mute the tentacle layer so you can see. For the eye of Ra, or whatever it's called, I dragged it in. We're gonna have to mask out the eye part. I'm gonna click the ellipse tool. I'm just gonna adjust it to the eye part. I guess you can do the whole thing too, or just do the eye part. Actually, I'm just gonna do this because it kind of looks cool. And then I just did some scale animations and rotation keyframes. So I'm looking at the portal right now to see where it is, and I want the eye to come up right here. So I'm going to open up this little drop down on the open up the transform, and I'm going to keyframe the scale and the position. Right now I'm going to move the position into where the portal is, and I'm going to scale down the eye, move it to where the portal is, and now you can see the eye is as big as the portal, and it's also bigger than, it's also on top of the portal, as in these portal clouds. So I'm going to move it underneath the portal clouds, and then now boom, it looks something like that. And it's just keyframes. So since this is keyframed right here to where we want it, I'm going to move about 5 frames back, 1 2 3 4 5, and I'm going to scale this down all the way to 0. Now if you look at that, it do something like that. And then I just did a bunch of scaling, so I went down to, I'm gonna go 5 frames to the right from the original keyframes, from the scale from 100, and then I scale it down a little bit, and then I just copy and pasted these keyframes a little bit. So copy and paste, and now you can see from where I left off, we do something like this, and it was just exactly like that. And then now we're just going to add rotation. I'm going to go to the beginning of our animation, keyframe it. I'm going to go to the end of our animation, and I'm just going to right here where it says X before the degrees, I'm gonna just type in 2, and it was something like that. That's a little bit too much. I'm just gonna do it for 1. Okay, and now what I also did is I added a roughen edges. Oops, I added a roughen edges to the video, or to the eye, so you can see it's kind of looks like a fire. And so I love this effect, roughen edges. I put it on almost everything. So type in roughen edges, put it on the eye, which is this layer right here. And then I think I put spiky, and then I just increased it a bunch. Yep. I also added a glow. I put that on the eye. Lower the threshold and increase the glow radius, and decrease the intensity because it's a little bit too bright. Keep it like that. So now if you look at it, boom, something like that. I think I added rays to the eye as well. So if you look up rays, CC light rays, that's my favorite. I'm going to pre-compose the eye first. Right click, pre-compose, add the CC light rays now onto the eye. Oops. Add CC light rays to the eye. Where's the anchor point? And the anchor point is all the way over here. You can see, right? Is that the one? So if I click this, yeah, I'm gonna move the center right into the center of the eye. It just adds to the effect, and I'm going to mess with the intensity and make sure the center point is right on the eye, or right in the center of the eye. And now if we look at it, the animation, something like that. It's a little too intense. I'm gonna lower it. Like that. Alright, and now if we add the tentacles back again, I think they're a little bit too big, so I'm going to adjust the position of the tentacles. This bottom one has to move. Alright, and that's pretty much how it started. Yeah, and that's pretty much how the tentacle and the eye thing is. Now, I meticulously spent hours and hours changing the settings and changing the keyframes to exactly how I want it to look. I don't have the project file anymore, so I can't give you the exact settings. But now we're just going to do some compositing so this doesn't just look ugly. This is not color corrected footage at all, and shot on Sony like Profile 1. And so I'm just going to color correct the footage, and it'll look together. So I'm gonna go to Lumetri color, drag it onto the footage or this still frame, increase the temperature since it was kind of orange in that video, increase the contrast, a little too contrasty. I'm going to duplicate the portal, actually I'm going to duplicate the clouds a little bit so it looks more of the video. Do something like this. I'm gonna change the clouds from normal to color dodge, lighten. It really depends on the clouds and the sky and your background to really how you want it to look. Also how you want it to look. I think I did pin light and I adjusted the opacity. I'm gonna duplicate the clouds. Oops. I'm gonna duplicate the cloud. I'm gonna press R for the rotation, rotate it, and this is just me compositing, adding on different things, just so, like I said, the more you add on, the more, you know, impressive it looks, or whatever, or like the more, you know, something like that. I'm gonna copy this Lumetri color right here. Now you can see our black solid looks super ugly right now because it's just right there before the portal starts. So you had two black solids, so I'm gonna press M, go to the first keyframe, mask expansion, keyframe at the first keyframe, mask expansion is 0, go to the beginning and just lower this down. Do something like this, and now I also added roughen edges to the black solid as well because that's my favorite effect. Roughen edges onto the black solid. Increase it, and then right now it's too pixelated as tail, but now it looks like a portal is coming out. So if you look at it, Oh, let me adjust this. We have something like that. Okay, now I'm going to add some more clouds behind the portal just so there's more clouds. Ooh, I'm going to move this right here, that. And now if you look at it, we have this. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of my layers. Right click, pre-compose. You can call this tentacle. And now this is the zooming in I'm talking about. I'm going to open up the transform tools, keyframe all of these, and I'm going to zoom in, or actually right here, right to where the tentacle is. I'm going to zoom in, so or right when it starts, I'm going to increase the scale, move the position a little bit. Now if we look at it, it does something like this, and I'm going to scale out, like I said, just adding more scales and movement to the scene. And since it's kind of like an action scene, and if you look at like an action movie, it's really just a lot of scales and blurs. And if we do this, yep, something like that. That's how it works. And like I said, we didn't have the 3D track since it is just a solid picture. And if you add more to these pictures, like I said, you don't have to do. I'm going to go back into the pre-compose now, and I'm going to add birds. So if you go back to production crate and you look up birds right here, I'm just going to go ahead and download these. I'm going to drag the birds underneath the tentacles and underneath the portal clouds, but over the black solid. I'm going to move this layer a little bit so the birds are in our animation. I'm going to adjust the birds towards the beginning of the portal. And now if we look at it, just adding birds to the scene does like wonders. I'm going to actually adjust the time so the birds kind of flock out, since if we look at this footage at the beginning, the birds kind of come from this, or from the side by, there's no birds in the scene. So I'm going to adjust the time. I'm going to right click, time stretch, and then instead of going up, I'm going to go lower. So if I type in 50, it's twice the speed. Now if we look at it, the birds are flying out of the portal. And now you can see the birds aren't fully going across the screen, so I'm going to increase the size of this layer. And I'm going to move the edge to the beginning of the portal right here. And now it looks like it's coming out of the portal. I'm going to duplicate the birds more. I'm going to press R on my keyboard, and I'm going to rotate the birds and put the edge right at the portal again. And now they're under the portal. However, the picture is over the tentacles. And so we kind of want the tentacles, or we want the birds to fly over the picture. So we're going to move the portal above it. And since the portal is in the sky, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to move the birds underneath the portal and above the freeze frame. Now if we look at it, yep, and I'm going to duplicate the birds one more time, R, rotate them again, and then just have them flying, all over the screen. Yep, and if we go back to our previous comp now, where we have our zoom in animation, it does something like that. I'm actually going to move the birds on top of the tentacles, because the birds will fly over the tentacles, I guess. Birds. So if we look at it, boom, added some birds, do something like that. Now we're just going to add some shake. So right here where it says position, press Alt and keyframe. And then underneath where it says transform position, I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to press wiggle, parentheses. And then you're going to have to mess with this on how you want your settings and stuff. You can also use Twitch. You can also use, if you have presets, you can use S_shake. You can use universe shake. I like to use those way more, but just cause. And so I'm gonna type in 10, and then I'm gonna type in 10, comma 10, and then now if you look at it, my bad, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. There's a little wiggle to the to our position. I'm actually change this to 50. Change this to 50. Now if we look at it, we have a camera shake, and that's almost it. Now I'm going to add a motion blur. If I click toggles and switches down here. These settings will come up. Activate motion blur. And now, that's how I did the effect. Yep. I appreciate you guys. Help me out. Buy some presets. If you don't, I'm not mad at you. Just hit the subscribe. Comment below what you want to see next of the 3 tutorials you want to see next. More tutorials coming later. It's late, so later.